Hi, I'm Tom, and today we're going to take a look at the Canon EOS 620. This camera was released in 1987, and Canon, of course, still uses the EOS system today with its DSLRs, so your lenses that work for DSLRs will work for this camera as well. One of the nice things about this camera is that since it uses the EOS system, even though it's 31 years old, your DSLRs, if you use Canon DSLRs, those lenses will work with this camera. And a nice part about that is that Canon generally puts the motors for the lenses inside of the lenses. So if you use a modern lens with this camera, it will autofocus pretty quickly. It's not going to be sluggish and horrible like you would expect from a camera from the late 80s. Overall, I would recommend this camera for someone who is looking to get inexpensively into film photography and already owns a bunch of Canon DSLR lenses, or just Canon lenses, that are compatible with the EF mount. So I'll take you through some of the features of this camera. It's very similar to a DSLR in a lot of ways, so if you're comfortable with the DSLR, you should be right at home here. Moving along to the top of the camera, you turn it on by using this here. The green sort of rectangle, I don't recommend it because it will make a beeping noise every time you achieve autofocus. The A mode is what you should use, and that mode will not have the annoying beeps all the time. Then there's also this mode that will have, again, lots of beeps. The A mode also, or not the A mode, but the green square mode will also override everything, all of the settings. You can't use manual mode or anything. It is just the mode for someone who doesn't know how to use an SLR or DSLR at all, and you can just hand the camera to someone who doesn't know how to take a picture, and the camera will try to do the rest for them, or as much of it as it can. So that's like automatic mode. So to switch through the different modes of this camera, you'll hold down the mode button here, and you have M mode, which is manual, you have P mode, you have TV mode, which is shutter priority mode. Time value is, I guess, what it stands for. And then you have AV, which is aperture priority. And so those are the different modes that you have. When you're using shutter priority mode, you can switch anywhere between 1/4000th of a second all the way up to 30 seconds, and there's also bulb mode that the camera has. So there's a pretty wide variety of shutter speeds that you can choose from, and 1/4000th of a second is pretty fast, and that's pretty helpful if you are looking for fast shutter speeds. So moving along to the back of the camera, you'll see that there's a film window here, which lets you see what film you have loaded, which is a nice feature. There's other cameras where you have to tear off a piece of the film container and slide it here to try to remind yourself. There is the eye cup, but as with many DSLRs, it falls off very easily, unfortunately. I haven't quite located where mine is currently. That's a work in progress, but opening the film canister door here, you can see inside, and you will load the film in here and take it up there, and when you close it, the film has a scanner that will scan the barcode on the film, and it will automatically roll the film to the first frame, and it will set the ISO to the reading on the film canister, so you don't have to worry about setting that manually, which is a nice feature. On the bottom we have a tripod mount, which is pretty self-explanatory, and you will load the batteries into the camera by unscrewing this, and the battery goes in here. It's a 2CR5 battery, which is an unusual size for most people, and you can buy them online. They cost maybe about $3 or so each, so they're not too expensive, but you want to turn off image stabilization when you're using this, when you're using lenses with this, because that will tend to use up the battery much more quickly. So you might want to turn that off if you are concerned about battery life with this camera. But overall, the battery life with it is very good. And if the battery does die while the film is rewinding at the end of the roll, which it does automatically rewind it, it will pause and then you can put in a new battery and it will finish. So you don't have to worry about losing your film or anything like that. I would say that the build quality of this camera is pretty good. I like the grip. It's easy to hold with one hand if you're into holding a camera with just one hand and no strap. It's more doable with this than with a lot of other cameras. It feels secure in your hand. It's got some metallic, parts and some sort of vulcanized rubber parts, but overall it still feels very sturdy and strong, and especially considering how affordable it is, I think it's a very good value for the money. When it comes to image quality, remember that since this is an SLR, your image quality is going to depend on the lenses that you use and the film that you use. The camera is just something that allows you to use lenses to take pictures on film. So that's it for the review. If you liked it, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Take care.